Welcome to the Kingdom Educators podcast, where we empower Christian teachers to grab a hold of heaven's hope-filled perspective so you can activate transformational impact in your classroom and community. I'm your host, Jessica Glover, and I warmly welcome you to wake up to your strategic placement as a kingdom educator, anointed by the Creator and equipped by all of heaven to release the radical goodness of God that will transform lives and reshape education. Welcome back to the Kingdom Educators podcast, everybody. I hope you had a beautiful month of May. At this point, we are wrapping up the month, and some of you may have already finished school. Some of you are in the process of finishing school. And I just want to say, good job. You're on your way, and just remembering that God has something for you to release over those kids before you take a break for the summer. Be tuning into his heart, because what you release is powerful, and that world changer that you're meant to be gets to release those special gifts. So I'm excited to hear from you what happens in the next week or two. Well, today we're continuing on with our season of God Wastes Nothing from Romans 8:28, that he works all things together for our good and his glory. That's Jessica's version. For the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. And today I would like to introduce to you Marianne D'Amico from Christian Educators. Da-da-da-da-da-da. And she is an educator in Florida. She's actually a literacy coach, correct?
True.
Yes. And I met her at a Christian Educators event that I was invited to a couple years ago called The Summit. And I have to tell you, my first impression of Marianne was I think of her as the minister of fun. She's just like, everybody come together and let's have fun and laugh. And her big thing was, and was again this last year when I got to be on her team, which was so fun, is that she's a risk coach. So stepping out of our boxes to take risks when Jesus leads us to do things, even things that are quote unquote unspiritual, because God's in it all, right? And so she just is really fun about sharing testimony. And we were chatting the other day on the phone, and I didn't even want to hang up because it was so fun, because God's doing so many cool things in her life. But she shared this amazing story with me that I would love for her to share with you, and maybe some other stuff too. So Marianne, welcome to the Kingdom Educators podcast. I am so glad to have you here.
I'm so excited to be here, Jessica. It's going to be a fun time.
It is going to be a fun time. So basically, friend who's listening, you can, sit down in your comfy chair, put on your walking shoes, get comfortable and do your thing, because we're just going to have a good time in this conversation about God wasting nothing and how he kind of just showed up in a special way for Marianne at an event, actually, ironically, at a Christian Educators event, because she can be found at a lot of those all over the country.
True.
So one of the really fun things that has connected me with leaders and Christian educators is called Awake. And Marianne, I have talked about it several times on our show before, but I would like listeners to hear, because some of them may need to look on the Christian Educators website in the next couple months to figure out, for this next school year when they could join in Awake. But what is it?
Yes, 100%. Everybody should go. It stands for Ambassadors Working as Kingdom Educators. And it's like a one-day Christian teacher, educator, professional development, but not in the sit and get variety. You're going to be up and around and interacting with other people. And my biggest experience, I think, is that when teachers come, countenance change.
Yes.
So they come looking sad and depressed and why did I decide to do this job? And they leave with just a completely different view of the story that God wants to write into their classroom.
Yeah.
And even what we're talking about, how God doesn't want to waste anything that's in their classroom, and he wants to redeem those things. And so I get to be a facilitator for those events and help run some of the different sessions. There's usually a team of 4 to 6 facilitators. So you're not even just listening to the same person the whole time, but it's absolutely amazing. If there's one in your area, you should sign up and go.
Yeah. And I have to say, truthfully, the first one I went to, I was like, this is my heart in a day.
Yes.
I'm like, not only was it the most fun professional development I've ever been to, because we have to say, as educators, we kind of get this
Mhm.
bad taste in our mouth with like, oh no, it's a PD day. And you're like, oh, and all the juice gets sucked out of you. And you're like, at least I could
Mhm.
come with a nice tasting coffee or some kind of treat, or maybe they'll have snacks. I don't know, just to make it bearable. But this is not the like come be bearable day. This is like not only engaging with people, like you said, Marianne, but I feel like I got rejuvenated in hearing God's voice in a new way about my work that I do, even with teachers. And I know the teachers around my table shared about how it's almost like they had a revelation from the Lord about what does it mean to be in partnership with him in the classroom as an ambassador for Christ in schools, but he's with us. And that whole piece of he gives me what I need for every day
Yep.
just became more and more clear. So it's just an
I'm
incredible
addicted to
day.
them. And so I travel around the country
Yes.
doing them, and it never gets old.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're all over. And you can check out christianeducators.com/awake to find out when the next ones are happening around the country. So you should do that for sure. Well, you were recently at a powerful experience at an awake event, and it really relates to our theme about God wasting nothing. First off, can you take us into that day and kind of tell us what happened at this table that you found yourself at?
Yeah. This is quite possibly one of the craziest stories that I have in my arsenal now. But I got invited to be part of a facilitator team in New York City. And
Wow.
this Awake event was happening right in the middle of Times Square. Literally, we opened the windows of the
So
event.
cool.
You could see the electronic billboards and everything
Wow.
right down there on Broadway, and just an amazing opportunity. We went early and did some of the sites, and then we were getting
Wow.
ready for the weekend.
Hmm.
And before that, I knew that this was going to be a special group of educators.
Hmm.
And I've been told that there was going to be some deaf teachers that were there. And
Okay.
a little bit of my backstory, the reason I became a teacher was because of my dad. And my dad had worked with the deaf for over 40 years in education as a
Wow.
teacher. And then so I had my dad as a teacher. I had my dad, I used to go visit his classroom. And then I had my dad as a colleague because he ended up becoming an interpreter for the deaf in the public school system at the
That
school
is
that I
so
taught at.
special. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah. So whenever I hear that there's deaf people going to be at an event, it's a special place in my heart of like, oh my goodness. And my dad,
Wow.
he's gone to heaven 5 years ago, but he would
Okay.
be like, Marianne, you have to talk to these people because
Aw.
sometimes we're embarrassed to start talking in another language.
Hmm.
But that just got me excited. And as we got to the event, I purposed I'm going to sit at this table where the deaf people are going to sit.
Yeah.
And so they did. We had three teachers show up, and I got to sit at the table with them. And for them, I was a new face because the people who had invited them, they were very familiar with, but they had never seen me. And as soon as I started signing, it was like eyes just light up. Like, what? You know sign? Um, and and then it just grew from there. So being able to be at the table and explain things and stuff, and it was just beyond what I could imagine. There's a special time in Awake where we do a thing called a cardboard testimony
Hmm.
after a time of solitude. And that's where we write on one side of it, maybe some lies we've been believing about ourselves. And then after this time of solitude and spending time kind of in a date with God, we write what God's revealed to us. What's the real truth about those lies? And one of these deaf teachers called me over towards the end and she said, I need your help.
Wow.
Um, because she was nervous that she was going to write it incorrectly
Okay.
on there. And the things that she wrote were that she's ironically unheard, underappreciated, and unseen.
Okay.
And my heart went out to her because I am sure the ability to not communicate in the same way. She had some other disabilities as well. And
Okay.
that had just made her feel like, how can I possibly be the teacher that I'm supposed to be? But then the other side of her testimony was that she was chosen, accepted, and free to fail.
Oh, that's
And
so good.
right? And to get to be a part of that moment because she trusted me, because she knew I wasn't going to laugh at her or I wasn't going to misunderstand her, that I wanted to help her. I don't know that there's, I mean, that's like a real teacher moment, isn't it?
Hmm.
And a moment where you see things happening that are beyond what your control was or your design was. When you came to that event, you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to be here and we're going to do this. But God had some divine appointments
Yeah.
set there.
Wow. It kind of sounds like how, sometimes when we connect with people spiritually, there's like a knitting of the hearts, and then she felt safe with you. And so I don't know, I just see like this quick trust happening because you share Jesus.
100%.
And I think
Well,
that's something beautiful about Awake that can happen.
it is. There's something, well, it's even what you were talking about of why we love Awake. There's
Mm,
something about it speaking your heart language, and that language of the spirit is the
yeah.
same. But then to be able to add to that the language that she speaks in
Yes.
too just adds another layer
And
that can really
education.
dig into her heart. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. And I love how God works in that she was feeling unseen. And in that moment, even placing you at that table and you're like, I'm going to sit with these
Mm,
women, the Lord's like using you as a gift to unwrap for her on, no, this
yeah,
lady's going to make you feel my love to you, like the Lord speaking that to her, and
right.
that she felt seen. And she felt comfortable to
Mhm.
share the lie and then what God said to her.
Definitely.
So good.
Well, and even for the other interpreters that were there, so people who work with these three teachers, for them, it was a blessing
Mm,
that, oh my goodness, it's not just me that's trying to speak into these people's lives. Here's someone else that has a heart to speak into their lives too. So you don't even see all the webs of the story that go out. Because after the event, she messages me and says, oh my word, you just don't know the seeds that are planted. So places where she planted and I was able to water, and then we're able to see fruit come out of these teachers' lives,
wow.
over something that you think is inconsequential, of something that I learned, growing up in middle school and high school,
Hmm.
that now here I am, not in middle school and high school. I might be just a little bit older than that. Um,
I love it.
and here I am using this skill that I learned, and God's using it
Yeah.
way beyond what I could think He would do.
Yeah. So it makes me think like we as kingdom educators
Mhm.
need to take pauses more often and go, Jesus, where are you at work? Because then it's almost like this thing of remembering we're on mission with him, but also going like, Lord, you go before me, you hem me in behind, you're under me, below me, beside me. But you're moving on so many different levels that we often miss because it's full. It's full in our
Yes.
workplaces. And when we see them, it's like it lifts our eyes and we get to praise him, which is where we need to be in that place. Especially this time of year, sometimes when the water cooler
Yeah.
area starts going majorly downhill, you know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. Yes.
And so just like, wow, being in awe of how he's moving.
And it's so easy to pass by those moments too, because like you said, in the busyness of, I still have a final exam that I have to grade and there's all
Mhm.
these papers,
It's
that we
real.
forget that little sparkle of that kid who was grateful for what
Yeah.
we gave, or the parent who sent that nice note back to you, or even just the kid that was
Yeah.
sitting there paying attention every single day.
Hmm.
We don't see those as things that God's put in our toolbox, or that he's revealed in his grace and mercy to say, no, see, I am using you, and it's you. It's
Yeah.
you particularly, not just anybody who's in front of these students.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's powerful to know that the God of the universe chooses you, Marianne. He chooses me to be his child. Number one, we just celebrated Easter a few months ago. Like just remembering, oh, your resurrection paid for me to be your daughter, your son, and that we get to be welcome to work with them,
Right?
to love kids, to love families, to love our colleagues. It's so beautiful.
It
That's
is.
so good. Okay, so I think there was something else that happened at that event.
There was, because that would have been enough. And after this event, I told the team, I said, y'all, this event was for me. I'm sorry that you had to be there too, but this is obviously an event for Marianne. And because at another table, we had about, I'd say there were about 40 people at the event.
Wow.
At another table, there's a whole table of Chinese teachers
Uh-huh.
there. And at lunch, one of the other facilitators said, everybody at my table was Chinese. And she knew
Oh,
that I had taught in China for 5 years
okay.
as a university professor.
Wow.
And that was an amazing time in my life. Absolutely one of my favorite. I just learned a lot about who God is and how he works in the
Yeah.
world.
I want to hear about that another time.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to hear. Yeah.
But I was like, oh goodness, I'm gonna have to talk to these people. While I was in China, I picked up conversational Chinese while I was there. And so after the event, I go up to these I call them kids because they were probably like 23 and I'm again not 23 anymore. I'm
Mhm.
actually just 24. No, it's a little older. But and I start talking to them in Chinese and they're just smiling ear to ear. And I asked them about how they came to know Christ.
Yeah.
And every single one of the four that I was talking to, every single one, it was at university from a professor or from another student who had shared with them when they were at university. And
Wow.
I started bawling because as I'm
Wow.
looking at these teachers who I didn't know at all, but I'm seeing all the kids that I taught and
Mm.
thinking, do they know? Do these people who poured into your life know?
Yeah.
Because now these four university students are teachers in America at a Christian event looking to
Wow.
pour into their classrooms for Christ. And
The
I'm sure
ripple
they
effect.
probably, right. I'm sure they probably thought I was a weirdo because I just started bawling. I was like, this is so
Wow.
special.
Yes.
Because it was in that moment, like God said, Marianne, I see you. I know exactly who you are. Why would you think that I would waste anything that I've given you? Do you see this moment, Marianne? Do you see it? I made this for you. And it was almost like he was yelling. We talked about
Mm.
how we get busy and we don't see those little moments. It was like
Yeah.
God was like, I might have to hit you on the head with this one a little bit. And I was like, you did. Heard God, I got this. But it was just amazing. So many sections of my life. And I
Wow.
think maybe that's our temptation. We think, oh, that was a time in my life and that time is done. And
Mhm.
that's not the way God writes story.
Mm.
He doesn't waste those things. He's like, no, I built that into you because you were going to be the person that was going to be able to speak into these people's lives, or you were going to be able to sign at this event. And that just boggles my mind
Mhm.
because if that's who my God is, then isn't every risk worth it?
Yeah.
Because he puts them before me because he knows. He
Yeah.
knows who I am and he knows what he's built into me.
Yeah. Oh, oh my gosh. So it makes me think of yeah, he knit me together in my mother's womb.
Yes.
And then just like I think this is real honest upfront, like in the moment thought. But sometimes I segment my life before
Mhm.
this, then when this happened, then when this happened. And it's like who I was then. But I think Jesus is actually saying, you're still that same person. And I'm
Yes.
building through each experience, and you're becoming not only more like me, but who I created you to be. And
Isn't
like
that what a good novel
loving,
does?
yes, yes. And I love like the even the past. I used to say like, okay, my before marriage adventure self, and then it changed when I got married and took on 6 children and my crazy risk, my big risk jumping the cliff
Yes.
and moving from the Northwest to Kansas, the heartland. But just like that part of us before, during, still now is all one. And to be careful not to say like that's done, because like he's even showing you, Marianne, your legacy, like reminding you
Yes.
you had impact, daughter, in China. Those students, you have no idea what they're doing now. Yeah, but I do wish the teachers that witness to them could know that how
Right.
they're walking. Well, maybe they don't even know they're saved. Maybe they
Right.
don't even know what they're walking in now. And so, teacher listening, I'm like, you have no idea what the seeds that you have
You
planted
don't.
happen. And sometimes we never get to see them before heaven.
Mm.
And we just need to hold on to the fact that when we obey the Lord, he blows and he waters and he puts sun on those seeds. And there is something happening. And like, I think it's from Psalms 27, we will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. So be strong and take
Mhm.
heart and wait on the Lord. Like in those areas you're waiting for, just there's so much packed into encouragement in this
Yes.
story. So good.
It is. And it's exciting that you serve a God who isn't just the God of the present.
Yeah.
He lives outside of time. So he knew, like you said, knit in our wombs, he knew who Jessica was going to be. And he started building that character in every single moment of your life up to today.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so wow. God wastes nothing.
He
Like,
wastes
woo, he's
nothing.
got a beautiful timeline from beginning
Mm.
to end, even when we're in the hard, mucky spots, or we're waiting to finish the school year, or we're waiting for
Ooh.
like, yeah, in between what's next, Lord. And
And I've had a lot of
yeah.
teachers say this year's been one of their hardest.
Mm,
And again, I would remind you that he doesn't waste it.
yeah.
There's something happening, even in the difficulty of what he's building through you into them. And I wouldn't have seen that the difficulty of living in another country, learning another language, me crying because I just couldn't even talk to the taxi driver to get my way home
Oh,
when I
yeah.
first got there, but God was building that for that moment in New York
Hmm.
where he was going to say, like you said, let me pull this back just a little bit so you can see that whatever that struggle was that you thought is really small in comparison to what I did with what you gave me. That
Yeah.
mustard seed of faith, that baby risk that you throw in there. God says, oh, hey, let me send you 4 teachers and you're going to see what I can do with just a little bit of faithfulness.
Hmm.
And that's what you should hang on to at the end of a difficult year, or
Amen.
as you're thinking maybe I should leave. No, that
Yeah.
like God has a plan
Yes.
for you. Trust in the long part of the story, not just the chapter you're in.
Yes. Yes. Amen. Amen. Rewind and re-listen to that part. He's working. He's working.
Mhm.
Stay with him even when you're not sure why. Because he's
Yes.
doing something. That's so good. Um, okay. So I feel like this naturally leads into identity.
It does.
Yeah.
And as I was thinking about what God's revealing to me, I will be vulnerable and tell you what my weakness is. So my weakness is to the bad side, the doubtful side of my identity.
Uh-huh.
Wants to say, Marianne, you have to try harder to get people to like you, and you need to work more, and you need to find this approval. And if you would just do more, the
Mm-hmm.
Martha in me. If you would just do more, then things would work out. And what God's been revealing to me, and what I think my identity really is I call it a magnet.
Mm.
And what God told me is, Marianne, you need to stop chasing after people, and I will bring the people to you.
Oh, that's so good.
And when I
Yes,
started
yes.
researching magnets, because magnet was the word in my mind, I don't know anything about magnets, but I do now that magnets can transfer power to other magnets. Like when magnets
Oh,
are weak, you can actually make a weak magnet strong by
really?
rubbing it up against, yes, a stronger magnet.
Oh my
And it
gosh.
will regain that magnetic power to attract things.
That's
And,
incredible.
right? There's so many biblical concepts about this idea of attraction or even being
Yes.
compelled and all this
Yes.
words that
Iron
have that
sharpening
same.
iron. Yeah.
Yes. Right.
Wow.
And so God was like, Marianne, I'm going to bring the people to you. And as long as you're with me and you're receiving your power from me, then you're going to have power that you're able to give others.
Oh, that's good.
And that, I mean, if you look back at what I just told you about this story, I
Hmm.
could never have arranged for 3 deaf teachers to be in the middle of New York City and Times Square. Like
Hmm.
that's beyond even my abilities, y'all. Uh, I
Imagine that.
couldn't, I couldn't do that. I would never have said, oh yeah, there's going to be 4 kids, 4 teachers who got saved at university from China, sitting there willing to have a conversation with me. And God's like, see, I told you, you don't need to chase
Wow.
those things. I will bring them to you. These people need to rub up against you and maybe even pull out some of the, I guess, like a Swiss Army knife. Like you're always
Mhm.
thinking this is the blade you're going to use. But
Yeah.
sometimes God's like, actually, no, this one
Oh,
is
that's
the
good.
one you need to use with this certain group of people. And then
Mhm.
they're going to walk away encouraged because they're going to know I'm real and they're going to know that I have power because you're going to reveal that in the way that you interact with them.
Yeah.
And that's where I have to orient myself to what God thinks about me
Hmm.
and who he brings into my life instead of what I want to chase after and who I think I want in my life.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful because there's like a couple different concepts in there
Mhm.
about resting in him,
Yes.
trusting that he, John 15, is going to be your vine, that you're the branch, and that he's going to give you truly everything that you need
Hmm.
for life and godliness and every spiritual blessing in Christ, that it truly comes from him and that you're safe, like who you
Great.
are, your
Great.
comfort, your affirmation, like all those things. And then he can take, like you said, and pull out from you. But what is it about you? It's the things you've experienced that have shaped you
Mhm.
that get to be a gift to the world in the world of education. And what's really fun is this last year for our lift dinners, which that's another thing that Christian Educators offers, and
Yeah.
I get to do. Marianne also travels and speaks for
Mhm.
those, and I do. But we get to have a message that has a common theme for all the lift dinners around the US. And this last year was very much on God not wasting anything
Mhm.
and him even using the good, bad, and ugly. They were not comfortable things. Those things shape us. And sometimes those hardest times or our hardest risks or our hardest yes or
Mhm.
surrenders, they forge humility and like things inside of us that only certain groups of people can relate to. And we get to be a blessing. We get to be Jesus's hands and feet. And some of us came into education because of that, trusting him and that he's going to bring up at the right time the things out of you that he's really helped to cultivate is such a good a promise. I'm going to use
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's
Something
good.
else when you were saying that, I think a key um is vulnerability.
Mm,
I have this idea that God desires us to shine our light, even when we feel like it's not worth it or that my light isn't worthy of being shined.
yeah.
So when I can reveal to Jessica, hey, this is what's going on, and me and Jesus are just struggling right now,
Hmm.
that's when God can enter in and do something. I think Satan deceives us in not letting us bear one another's burdens,
Hmm.
and then we miss out on the opportunity to take a risk and for God to bring that back into us. We
That's
miss the
good.
kindred spirit. We miss finding the fellowship that he
Hmm.
desired for us. I
Hmm.
could have sat there and said, I don't know sign. I'm not going to risk it because it's going to look weird and people are going to stare at me.
Yeah.
Or
I'm going to be
it's not really
judged. I'm going to
important.
hide. Yeah. I have
Yes, but
shame.
that fear game and fear, shame, and guilt, when we let that keep us from revealing ourselves for whatever it is, that's, I think, Satan's biggest trick
Yeah.
in keeping us from living out who God wants us to be in that moment in our
Yeah.
classroom with that difficult student, even with that difficult parent or principal.
Yeah.
That's where we lose.
Yeah. And it's isolating us, really. It's
Yes.
keeping us from forming relationships to create community. And I think that's probably one of the things that I love the most about Christian educators and some of the work that I'm developing, even within this Kingdom Educators community. We're going to start having online monthly meetings where we talk about actual action, like what does it mean to be a kingdom educator, and then spending time praying together. That knits our hearts together, but it also makes you know that you're not alone, because you're not. There are people stationed on mission with Jesus across the earth.
Yes.
And Marianne and I love talking about that. Like, you literally, like, we don't need to go down in this deep hole, but I love the idea that you can transform a whole community, a city, by working in a school, because the impact that you have just in your classroom, those kids go home, they impact families, families impact businesses, and then like people meet Jesus and interact with higher thinking, which is from the King, the creator.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
strategies and plans are released to those who love him and are in relationship with him. So all kinds of things can happen in our cities just because we said yes to Jesus in our schools. And that is amazing.
It blows your mind.
Yeah, it does. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
it does.
So if there's someone who would say that they feel like their gifts or their experiences don't really matter,
Mm.
what would you say to encourage them? I'm sure they've gotten a plethora of encouragement.
I guess the first thing that comes to my mind is that God knows your name, like your
That's
name.
good.
He knows it. And he collects all our tears in a bottle, y'all. He knows you. And if he knows you, like my sheep hear my voice and I know them, he's invested. What is it? Is it Philippians that says he has begun a good work and you will perform it?
Yes.
So he's not he's invested in you. He's been invested in you since the very beginning. And you've got to run to Jesus. If you don't, and you don't believe that he knows your name, take down those lies. If he doesn't see, he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't know what's going on, he's not involved. He is. And
Mm-hmm.
he's actively wants to be there for you and he wants to help you through this process and he wants to bring you out to the other side for his honor and glory.
Yeah.
And that's really the only hope I can offer you is run to Jesus. He knows your name. He's going to search for you like the lost sheep, like the lost coin. It doesn't matter how far you think you've gone away, or how deep you think the pit is that you've fallen into. His desire is for you and you specifically, not just the us collectively,
Mm-hmm.
but you specifically, and his mission for you, his identity for you.
Mm. Thank you. That's so good. Yeah. Okay, so I know I mentioned this just a tiny bit earlier, but you're in a season of stepping into some unknowns.
It
Uh,
is. It's a
what?
little bit like Frozen into the unknown. It's
That's so
it is
good.
very
Love
much
that.
like that. So after that New York City awake and God telling me, I waste nothing, Marianne. Why would you think I don't have a plan for you? That very next Friday, my principal told me that my position across the district as a literacy coach had been cut at all the high schools.
Woo.
And I were yes, it's one of those moments where you're
Whoa.
just like, oh,
But there'd
okay,
been a
God.
building. There'd been a
Either.
building.
It
There
had
was
been
some
building, and
nudges.
that's
Yeah.
what is really crazy. So again, if I'm going to tell you, God wastes nothing. I've been able to travel to the Czech Republic last year, to Zambia, in
So cool.
September, and I really felt like God was saying, "I have a new thing for you, Marion." And I was like, "Okay,
Mm.
let's go, let's go." And He's like, "Yeah, but not yet." And a friend had just been talking to me the day before, and she says, "What about this dream that you have of going internationally and maybe
Yes.
coaching?" And I was like, "That's just really hard. I don't know the timing. I don't know where the finances are coming from." I said, "It'd just be easier if they canceled my position." And the next day, y'all, they canceled my position. And so I couldn't really sit
Blaring.
there
Hello,
and,
hello.
right, right.
Marianne.
Like God's like, and I heard you. We're done. So it is if we're gonna say scary, like it's legitimately the scariest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would say that I'm fearful. I'm excited because I think at this stage, I think God is a mysterious God.
Mhm.
And this part of my story is a mystery. And
Yeah.
he's like, keep turning the pages.
Yeah. You don't
um,
know what's next. Keep coming. Keep coming.
we don't. And I also believe, uh, Jessica alluded earlier that the risk coach.
Yeah.
I think God's like, haha, watch this. We're gonna put this in action. Are you really a risk
Yeah.
coach?
Yeah.
I want you to jump, and I want you to jump big. And I don't know what's on the other side.
Yeah.
I have some dreams and some ideas of being able to spread this type of community internationally and
Mm.
help out missionaries and schools to be more effective at their crafts so that they can have greater influence in their
Mhm.
communities. But I have no idea how to even start. So it's been a lot of researching and questioning and keeping hands really open,
Yeah.
because even what I think, like I said, it right now my Swiss Army knife, all the blades are out.
Okay.
And I'm like, which one are you going to do, God? And he hasn't quite revealed that yet.
Yeah.
And it makes me a little nervous in some aspects, but it makes me really excited because I feel like faith, or risk is addictive when you're doing it with God. Because
Mhm.
once you see what he does, like, oh, if you could do that in New York, what else could you do?
Oh, yeah.
If you could make that horrible child in my classroom actually behave one day, what else could you do if I really
Mhm.
put that in your hands?
That's good.
So yeah, this is a big one,
Release.
y'all. And
Yeah.
I covet your prayers about what God would have
Yeah.
next.
Mhm.
But it's into the unknown. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So if you're a teacher who's like, okay, I heard Marianne say, I don't want to jump ship just because I'm feeling kind of like, with the
Hmm.
end of the school year.
Good point.
I need to remember to hear God's voice around where he wants me to be and know that I need to trust and rest in him because he's providing what I need. Am I choosing to receive? Do I
Hmm.
know I'm called by name? But then also, teacher, if you're in this position of like, maybe your job has ended too, or you're like holding on, going, okay, I really was longing for XYZ to happen next.
Hmm.
We just encourage you to stay where you are until you hear the Lord say go. Because, man, at least Marianne could probably tell you more stories too, but I can tell you story after story about how I even had a position where I wanted out of that school. I'm like, Lord, I've served here faithfully for 5 years. It has been so hard. And he's like, nope, not releasing you yet. And I'm like, okay. Whew. 3 years later, a door opened and I walked
Yes.
through it and I got the job like boom. And then I was only there for a year. And get this, this is funny. The name of the school was called Gateway. So while I'm walking around the school praying over the school with my mom, I think it was before I officially said yes, signed paperwork. She's like, I just sense that you're probably not going to be here long. And I was like, Gateway, that's hilarious. It's like gateway to the next. And sure enough, the next year, same time, I get a phone call and there's another job opening and I know I'm supposed to walk through it. And man, but walking with Jesus, like you said, it's
Yeah.
that whole piece of knowing, like, remember, he's writing your story. He wastes nothing. And when you risk, it gets addictive because he's got something surprising around every corner. But it
Hmm.
takes faith, RISK, to step
Yep.
into those spaces because we have to truly trust he knows what he's doing. He has our best in mind. He's using all things for our good. And that in the end, everything's going to work out, even though it's going to look different than we thought. I can say that with a lot of wisdom now.
100%. 100%.
It's
And I
not
think
like
what
you think.
Jessica, what she mentioned in that triad, I think remember is a really important thing because it's so easy for us to forget what God's done in the past. And
Hmm.
again, that's, I think, Satan's tool to make us doubt what he's going to do in the now.
Ooh,
Remember, don't give up on your God sized dream,
yeah.
whatever it is, but trust in his timing
Yes.
and don't force it on your own. And then when the door opens, you're going to clearly be able to see it and you will be excited to
Yeah.
jump. Because if you've done those two things, you're already building up your risk muscle.
Yes.
So that then
Yes.
when he opens it, you're like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
ready.
Yes. Oh, man. This was good. Thank you, Marianne.
Mhm.
Oh,
100%.
and so this summer, you need to I just think about the Israelites and building their rocks of remembrance. Like
Yes.
take some time to build your quote unquote rocks of remembrance. Write it down. What has God done this year? What has he been doing across my own story, your story? And where is he leading you next? And you can use some simple questions. Jesus, what have you done? What do you want
Hmm.
me to know about your history of faithfulness to me? What do you want me to do with it? Where are you? And he might just ask you just sit and receive this summer. That's okay. Just stay there. Don't move until he says go. But we just bless you with that. We pray that this episode was encouraging and edifying to you as you remain on mission with the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, that he wastes nothing and he's using all things for your good and his glory. So have a beautiful week this week, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks for tuning into this podcast. Please be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share with your friends in education so they too can be strengthened and encouraged in living their kingdom identity out loud in this pivotal hour. And please visit kingdomeducators.com to receive your Kingdom Educator Daily Truth Declarations, my encouraging newsletter, and be the first to know about my newest resources online and in-person events. And be sure to find me on the socials at kingdom.educators. Until next time, don't forget you are a history maker, and what you do every day is transforming lives.